And we're back with some NBA observations right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. You've been asking for him for some time now, and he is back doing some NBA observations. I know his schedule has gotten a little out of whack, but we're glad to have him here right now talking the NBA. It is, of course, the Magic Man, Sean Grice. Magic Man, good to see you again, my friend.
Gerald, I am thrilled to be back. I am thrilled to be back, and hopefully we can turn this again into a very continuous cycle, because both our schedules have been kind of wacky in the fall, and we were finally able to link up again. And I am so thrilled to be back, and I just again can't say enough about the Lakers fast break audience. They
Uh,
make they make this worthwhile. So that's why I wanted to come back.
yes, you again. They've really missed you. They've been asking for you, so I try to deliver what I can. Because where's Magic Man? How's Magic Man? I said, he's a
You
busy
know,
guy.
I appreciate that, everybody. And we've kind of had to really hunker down and really bunker in this winter because it's been so bitterly cold. And one of the most I would say foggiest winters in Canada of the past probably
Mm,
25 years, Gerald. Probably since the winter of '99, when the whole city froze and I was able to skate from my house to Maple Leaf Gardens with a few friends. But since then, it's been fairly tolerable. But this past winter was just brutal for everybody.
well, at least you could take some solace in the recent success of the Los Angeles Lakers, winning for them. What, five of the last six?
Mhm.
They're now in third place, lo and behold, with the loss by the Houston Rockets just now, just as we're recording this. Third place in the Western Conference, tied essentially with the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves, with the Denver Nuggets a half game out. Right now, it's a free for all, third through sixth place in the Western Conference. But I said if everything goes right and the Lakers take advantage of what they have in front of them, they can get themselves back into this race. And while 2 weeks ago it didn't look very promising, 2 weeks later, got a little hope right there for you.
Absolutely, Gerald. This Western Conference now very reminiscent of circa, I'd say, 2007 and probably around 2011 as well, where you just have a bunch of 50-win teams potentially. I mean, 1 through 6 right now potentially looks like a 50-win mega conference. And right now, you got to hand it to the Lakers. They've just been finding ways to win, Gerald. I mean, and my God, we should. And there should be no reason why, even with this roster and the flaws and imbalance it has, there should be no reason why Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves can't galvanize a group around them and win at least one playoff series here coming up, Gerald. I don't think there's any excuse as to why you shouldn't win at least one playoff series with this backcourt. Again, kind of bias coming from Magic Man, but from an objective point of view, Luca and Austin are top five backcourt in the NBA. Period. Point blank. They are top five backcourt in the NBA, and all they need is just a little bit of talent around them, and you can see what the Lakers are capable of.
And now they're what, 10-2, 11-2 without LeBron in the lineup. We don't know his
Mhm.
status for the Chicago game coming up, other than it's questionable at this point in time. So he's day to day going forward as of now.
And
So
Gerald, we,
yeah,
we really need to discuss how feel has really come into play here with the three of them. I realized LeBron is 41 and he's a little long on the tooth. And yes, he's the second slowest player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic. But as we've seen, it a lot of this chemistry does have to do with feel because they really try and do get other people going first before they take initiative themselves. I'll give a perfect example. Last night was evidentiary of how valuable Austin Reeves is. Gerald, he had 2 points at halftime. It is 45-45, and your starting shooting guard has 2 points at half. So what does he do in the second half, Gerald? He explodes. There's just a feel with him and Luca out there on the floor, and if we just had a little bit of balance, Gerald, as Gerald talked about, if they played 5 minutes of defense every game, if they had a couple of shooters instead of just Luke Kennard on the floor with those guys, with 5 minutes of that, you'd be able to separate instead of having a 1.0 point differential plus, Gerald. You could potentially be in the sevens or eights with the kind of defense that they're only really obligated to play, and a little bit more shooting would absolutely flourish. They would flourish. I mean, we're talking about a 50 win, potentially back to back 50-win team here, Gerald. And in 2 cycles, I'll just remind Mr. Walters of this since he is the owner of the Lakers now, Gerald. I'll point this out because he doesn't need Friedman to point it out. This is the second cycle now, the second where Rob Pelinka has failed to surround Luka Doncic with talent that can help build a championship on this roster.
yep,
This is the
that's
second cycle. The first one you got an 80%. I'm Gerald. I'm not trying to disparage the man because he is in the NBA, but you gotta good for you, Rob. You acquired an 80% washed up DFS. And my God, Gerald, look at what he's producing this year. 3 more points and 2.5 more rebounds than Gerald. Gerald could at least give me 5 and 4 all night long. I know that. Uh, Plus, he acquires Luke Kennard, but that's great. But you rob Peter to pay Paul there, Gerald, because again, an imbalance. You trade offense for defense. I love it, but Kennard is only signed to a 1 year deal. Are you bringing him back? I would really like the idea of a Luke Kennard as a sixth man off the bench for this club, with Luca and Reeves heading the backcourt. But that being said, I mean he hasn't re-signed Luke Kennard, so I'm not sure if this is above him, but it's a this is a lack of roster imbalance that is on one Rob Pelinka, Gerald. I mean, you called it 2 years ago, Gerald. I mean, you whiffed on JHS, and now you whiffed on Dalton Connect, and now those are two positions now that you desperately need to fill because you needed wings who could shoot in the draft, or at least had the potential, and you whiffed on both of those opportunities, Gerald.
absolutely. But we'll see what happens with again Rob Palenka. He's had a better year so far of decision making. So far, we'll see what happens. Again, most of his moves so far have done reasonably well. The DeAndre Ayton experience has been up and down, although recently it's been somewhat okay. And then obviously as well, Marcus Smart's been good in spots, and his defense has obviously helped key the Lakers as well. Laravia has also been up and down, but he's provided energy when he's been able to go out there and play, especially as a starter, more so as a reserve. Reserve has not seen the kind of returns, the same kind of returns you've seen as a starter, but he's still been able to give you some moments of clarity. Adut Diero, we don't know about because again he's just been injured. We haven't been able to see him, and now he has zero chance of playing because he's a young kid, and JJ won't play him this late in the season. So we don't know about there. So it's a lost season essentially for Adut Diero at this point. But again, Rob and his decision making going forward, we'll have to see how it works itself out. And
Well, Gerald,
I'm still not very confident in Rob's ability to go ahead and transform a team around Luka Doncic. So you'll have to.
neither neither my Gerald, neither my. I think you need to have a different man in that seat. At least if you're just putting somebody in that seat to take the heat, because that's what I think Palinka is there for now. Gerald is just to, if there's any heat now, with any semblance of some kind of implosion, and Palinka's in the hot seat. I think that's the only reason he's there at this point. I mean, you bring in Tony Bennett to, and to his credit, Gerald, if Palinka wants to maybe kind of usurp Tony Bennett's opinion about who they should draft, he can point to that Cavaliers team, Gerald, that produced couple of pretty good NBA players, and he could say, "Well, Rob, that's you won a championship as an executive. I won a championship as a head coach, and I recruited these kids, and I have just as equal an eye for talent." Yes, Gerald, as you said, it looks like the Walters is building a moat around Palinka, and he's the only one left because the Ramby aren't there for support. Genie's not there for support. So it's really just them honing in on, does this man have the evaluation skills to build a championship team around the Lakers? And I agree with Gerald. I don't see it with Palinka.
We'll see. Again, but the larger question for the Lakers is this season, and for a team that a lot of people, including us, have given up on at periods of time during the course of this season, that they find themselves in third place in the Western Conference as of right now. Obviously, that's a good thing, and giving some of the Lakers fans out there
Mhm.
some real hope for the future soon as this season. But when you look at the Lakers again, their record against teams 600 above with the two wins that they've had this week, that's almost half. Well, that is half of what they had previously against the, as far as the four wins they had against 600 teams all season. So I don't know. We'll have to see how this works out with the Lakers if they can make an imprint in the playoffs. But the thing is, though, a lot of people are talking about how the Lakers are performing and winning better as a duo with Austin and Luca than as a trio with Austin, Luca, and LeBron. Your thoughts on this big three? Hasn't been so big, mediocre numbers at best, a lot of disappointing plays and losses. They just don't seem to gel always at the same time when they're playing with each other. That's a problem because in the playoffs against the Oklahoma City Thunders, against the San Antonio Spurs, against the Denver Nuggets, against the Houston Rockets, against those teams, the Minnesota Timberwolves, against these teams, you will all need, in my opinion, all these three players to gel, to play well in order to make a serious run in the postseason.
100%, Gerald. I think you're right. I mean, if the centrifugal force here that is going to derail either the Thunder or the Spurs from reaching the finals, I agree. It's the three of them reaching the peaks of their offensive and defensive capabilities, and having that be fused, like it's a fusion. It goes beyond cohesion here. It's about all three players apexing at their summits of their ages, of their abilities right now, Gerald. And you're right. That's what it's going to take for them to win a title. Because at this point, I, it- I found this move interesting, Gerald, because I think it has a domino effect. The Denver Nuggets signed Tyus Jones to their roster. Now, that tells me one of two things right now. One is they don't think that they have the playmaking outside of the Joker in order to really advance and even get by the Spurs, Gerald, because I think they'd have a problem with the Wolves, the Spurs, or the Lakers right now, getting by them. Two, the Houston Rockets are also missing a valuable playmaker in Fred Van Fleet, Gerald, and it's going to cost them. Now, it's interesting. I think the Lakers could potentially get to the Western Conference Finals, Gerald, but at some point they're going to meet up with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And to be honest with you, Gerald, I'd rather try and see if the Lakers can get all three of those players to gel and apex at the same time and try and beat the Thunder first and deal with the. I think what's going to happen is whoever plays the Spurs, they're just going to get beat up. If they even get by them, they're going to be beat up in the Western Conference Finals. So I think whoever plays the Thunder in the second round, that's really the Western Conference Finals to me.
We'll find out. But again, the Lakers are in third place. Looking forward to seeing if they can continue that march with a win against Chicago and then later on this weekend against the Denver Nuggets. But there's still more things to talk about in the NBA. It is, of course, NBA observations. Here's Magic Man Sean Grice along with me, Gerald Glasser. Appreciate you watching and listening. There was an 83-point game last night
Mhm.
with Bam Adebayo achieving a status, as he said, it's Wilt, it's him, then Kobe. And I know there's a lot of Lakers fans that are not really happy right now. I know I'm not because of how the 83 points were accrued. And if you saw that, especially that last quarter, I mean, the first half, you could say it was very much well earned and well respected on how he played in that game. The last half, especially last quarter, was all about padding those stats. All about trying to get as high as you can up on the food chain. And the farcical way that they played defense on him, they tried to double and triple team him, was just absolutely ridiculous. They didn't do any ball denial enough to the point where they just don't let him get the ball. Period. And then they kept fouling. I don't know, your determination on how egregious those fouls were, but sending him to the line 43 times, it wasn't a pretty box score when you look at it. 7 to 22 from three. He hit most of his inside the three shots, which obviously helped him quite a bit. And going to the line 43 times certainly helps, but I don't know. I'm just, as someone, as I said, that has a bias for the Los Angeles Lakers. In this case, I am using that bias and saying the Los Angeles Lakers and Kobe Bryant, that game, which was everyone but bit needed those 81 points in order to beat the Toronto Raptors
Mhm.
that day. I really think that stands out as being more special than what Bam Adebayo did yesterday.
I think that's historically accurate, Jared. That is historically accurate. The Lakers were down by 20 plus points for a majority of that game against the Raptors. So Kobe was actually on the comeback trail. Um, I gotta be honest, 83 points is impressive. Kobe scored 63 and three quarters. He outscored the whole Mavericks squad through three quarters, Gerald, and Phil Jackson decided to sit him. I thought he could have gone for close to 90 if he had played the fourth quarter, Gerald. I mean, he was just that hot. So, yes, it's impressive what Bam did, but I agree historically. I mean, it's only a matter of time now, Gerald, before Wemby uh, eclipses Wilt's record. If Bam is proof that Bam could beat Kobe's record, that's all I need to know, Gerald, to understand that at some point Wemby will eclipse 100 points in a game. It's only a matter of time. If Bam got 46 free throws, there's no doubt in my mind Gerald Wemby could probably get to 50. If if he's this dominant on the inside, and they're just gonna have to call everything because you just have to foul him at this point. You have to make him earn it at the line. And I mean, yeah, he's cut down a little bit on his 3-point shooting drill, but I think that's just a deception at this point. I think he's just so intelligent. He's just bound to get better beyond the arc, Gerald. So I mean, to me, yesterday proved to me that Wilt's record will be eclipsed at some point in my lifetime if Bam was able to get to 83 points. And I will say this, Gerald, there is one person's name, one person's who's not mentioned once, and I heard everybody from uh legend to Skip Bayless to Craig Carton to Mad Dog, uh, ranting and raving about Bam and really not giving him his kudos because you should give him his flowers. It's 83 points. But where was the toilet papering of Brian Keith's house, Gerald? Because if I was a Wizards fan, I would have called up a couple of my friends and TP'd the shit out of that guy's house for allowing somebody to score 83 points on you. And by the way, Gerald, it got so bad that they were triple teaming Bam beyond the 3-point line, and they were still fouling him. They couldn't get the ball out of his hands. Gerald, what are we talking about in today's NBA where you triple team a below average score? All due respect, Bam. You know, when you're averaging 20 points a game in today's NBA, you're a below average score. To allow to score 83 points and get to the line almost sub 50 times. Brian Keefe is the one who should be really put on the spot here, Gerald, because what is he teaching these young men in Washington? Is that the kind of resume you want to leave? Because remember something, and I know a lot of people aren't really going to care about this, but it matters to me because I respect the history of this game. You took over for Wes Unseld Jr., who's a legend in Washington. He won a championship for the Bullets. Gerald, he's probably the greatest undersized center in NBA history. And aside from that, you were just taking over for and to teach young men, and that is embarrassing. Like Gerald, if you woke up this morning and were a Washington Wizard, would you even want to look at yourself in the mirror? I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to after giving up 83 points to one player. I don't think I could. And I don't know how Brian Keefe woke up this morning, and didn't eat a big bag of shit because nobody gives a crap about the Washington Wizards, too. That's another thing. Nobody wants to, I don't think anybody really wants to talk about that, Gerald, but they're a woebegone. Some of these teams belong in their own division. I swear to God, Gerald, in the NBA, the Wizards, the Kings, the Jazz. I mean, we were going to put the Hornets in there, Gerald, but they might be ascending now. They might be the fastest ascending team right now in the NBA. But some of these teams belong in their own division, and for the Wizards to wake up this morning with Brian Keefe and not take any heat is kind of shocking to me. I mean, you got beat. You gave up 150 points too, Gerald. Not only 83, you gave up 150 points.
But the thing is, the game was already out of reach. And all they were doing in that fourth quarter was just trying to pad the stats as high as they could go. The Miami Heat intentionally fouling so that they could get the ball back sooner
Hmm.
and get it to him. And just not understanding and reading the room on the Washington Wizards part as far as being able to just deny him the ball. It's not that hard. Deny him the ball.
You don't even
Period.
need to triple team him. He's not that good 94 feet away from the basket. Gerald's right. All you would need is one player guarding him and possibly a trailer. That's it. That would suffice to get the ball out of his hands.
No,
Another,
but they waited until the ball got his hands to do any double or triple teams, and that just led into all the fouls. It led into just one crazy 3-point shot after another. Yeah, just absolutely just an atrocious fourth quarter. Again, it tarnishes what it was a great game by Bam Adebayo, in my opinion.
mhm.
And again, I am biased towards Kobe's 81. I understand that. Again, putting my biases with Lakers into that, but it is also the fact that just from a aesthetics standpoint, it looks Kobe's game stands up so much better and will over the course of time than what we'll see from Bam Adebayo's.
Yeah, absolutely drilled, absolutely. And by the way, again, it, to and I get it, but again, it's kind of sad when somebody like Sam Mitchell parodies himself, Gerald. I'm not sure if you saw that video, but he was basically toasting himself, saying he's not the dumbass everybody says he was. Like that again celebrate this kind of ineptitude is beyond all. It should be beyond all professionals, especially Sam Mitchell, Mister 00000. Well, guess what, Sam? Every time you walk down the street, you're gonna hear 81 when I see you. Every time, Gerald. Every time I've seen that man walk down the street, I'll yell out 81. And for you and for Kobe now, for Gerald Glassford and for Kobe, I'm gonna yell out 81 every time I see Sam Mitchell walk down the street now.
There you go. Indeed. Okay, fair enough. Indeed. Once again, it is Magic Man Sean Grice. It is NBA observations, but before we head on out, got to provide some NBA observations on the rest of the NBA. We're seeing in recent days Oklahoma City start to become Oklahoma City again, just at the right
Mhm.
time for them and just at the wrong time for everybody else. Of course, the Lakers, like I said, they're in third place, tied for third place with the same record, but they are, I guess, with by the as far as the way things work out and the tiebreakers, they are in third place in the Western Conference. But the Spurs, like you talked about, they are just cruising along, 2.5 games behind Oklahoma City Thunder. They have been playing inspired ball, go on the road and on the home, just absolutely just tearing away in their opponents, even quality opponents like the Detroit Pistons and Boston Celtics in recent days, and the New York Knicks as well. Your thoughts, my friend? The West, I still think that whoever comes out of the East, be it Boston with Jason Tatum now coming back to the lineup, New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers, Detroit Pistons, doesn't matter because I still think the title goes through the West.
I agree, Jill. I think it's very similar to the NFL. We saw in the NFC that was the real Super Bowl, the NFC Championship, and that savage playoff that what seems the NFC goes through, and the NBA Western Conference is no different again. I'm sorry to all my East Coast friends, but when Gerald, whenever this conversation comes up, this is pretty much 26 year in a row where the Western Conference just cannibalizes itself until it gets to the East, and then it cannibalizes whoever comes out of the East. It's very true. Gerald, I think we're in agreement that Wemby will be the unanimous defensive player of the year. I don't think there's anybody who's going to vote for anybody else except him. I think he's had to sacrifice a little bit offensively this Gerald for his defense, but that is for the benefit of the team. You can see it that he's now become very selfless. I think it's just come to a point now, Gerald, where he decides to rev it up, and only he can decide that. But I think he's slowly getting there, and I think it's only a matter of time for the next 2 to 5 years, Gerald, where we're potentially looking at the unanimous MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. We haven't seen this kind of brilliance defensively, at least in my mind, since I got to be honest, Gerald, from the center position where you can be this versatile and move around and be that queen on the chessboard where you're just getting everything done. Really, since Dennis Rodman, David Robinson, Gerald, we're talking about that kind of a generational center that can just be a weapon defensively. Now, once he becomes, a top three offensive player, we're talking about a rivalry, I think, that's starting to bud now. Gerald, the OKC Thunder. I think, I'd love to see the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, but I think it's becoming an immovable object against an unstoppable force here, Gerald, with the Thunder and Spurs.
It
I
looks
don't,
like it.
I don't, I, I, and all due respect to the Joker, he is a great offensive player, but I don't see you defeating Wemby over a 7-game series with his defensive prowess. I don't see it, Joe. This is if they do play each other, I think this is Wemby's coming out party, similar to what David Robinson did against the Dream. Um, I think it's very similar. I just think Nicola has gotten a little slower, Gerald. And by slower, I mean the game isn't slowing down for him and he's able to compensate for his lack of athleticism. He's facing a monster defensively that I don't think he could overcome, Gerald.
Once again, it's Magic Man, Sean Grice. I truly appreciate you stopping by, Magic Man. I am hopeful we can continue to do this with your NBA observations. I'll do it every week if you want, my friend. But it's always good to see you and catch up with you. I know it's been a while on the air. But any last thoughts, my friend, on the way out? I know that if Kurt Affair was here, he'd probably say something snarky. I By the way, he wasn't there on the weekend for Tom. I know you wanted to come on the other day with Laker Tom. Laker Tom had his Coke right there, and I ripped on Kurt Affair because he wasn't there. I was so mad at Kurt Affair for not being there when the Coke was laid out there, and it wasn't there. So
Gerald, you
bummed.
just blew my mind. That's so true. Like the Kurt, you're normally Gerald's right. You're normally like the je ne sais quoi of the LFB. There's just Kurt has this esoteric flow to him, and he should have been there, and you weren't. You weren't Kurt. You weren't. Gerald. Before we head on out, um, I have to say this NBA season has been very intriguing for a few different reasons, but the biggest one, and I hope that the Lakers analytics staff are obviously paying attention because this is no longer a mom and pop operation. There's really there's really now a triad in the NBA on how to win, Gerald. You have shooting, you have depth, and you have defense. That's the triad in this avant-garde NBA. You have the Thunder, you have the Spurs, you have the Wolves, you have the Celtics and the Pistons, Gerald. What do all these teams have in common? Top 10, top offensive and defensive teams in the NBA. And they're all on par right now, on course to be a top 6 seed. That's what you need now in the NBA. And I applaud JJ Redick for doing everything he can, Gerald. You and I both discussed this when he was hired. We have zero expectations right now for JJ Redick because we both agreed on a couple of things, Gerald. One is this isn't his team. He wouldn't have put this team together the way it's been assembled. There's too much imbalance on the roster for somebody with his offensive mind, Gerald, as we both agreed. Two, uh quite frankly, um he can't run what he really wants to because of this flawed roster, and so because of that he has to rely on um zone defenses. He doesn't want to play his own defense, Gerald. He has to. I think that's one big takeaway. I want other Laker fans to take away is he doesn't want to play. He has to play it. A lot of teams don't play zone in the NBA anymore because of two reasons. One is, as Gerald knows, it takes a long time to learn how to play a functional zone because you have to rely on everybody, pretty much all other four players rotating and communicating correctly, and that takes a really long time. And as we know, Gerald, with the CBA, there isn't a lot of practice time. And two, we don't really have the horses to not try something else. He's tried everything else, Gerald. JJ Redick has literally tried everything under the sun to get this Lakers defense functional, at least competent. And in stretches, it works. But then there's film, and other teams and other scouts watch film and they figure us out. We have an imbalanced roster. JJ has done everything he can, Gerald, under the sun to try and maximize this team. So I do not fault JJ Redick at all. When that
Absolutely. Well,
when it
I'm
all
glad you
comes,
don't, but JJ did a very good job of coaching the past couple days. He does get a lot of credit. He's had some ups and downs, some things that I would question. I'm not in love with his coaching overall, as that you are, but again, when he deserves it, he gets the props for me, and he has gotten the props. And being back in third place, he'll continue to get props, but we'll see if it lasts throughout a good playoff run. Because if it's not a good playoff run, then I think it's a different story. But wait and see. Wait and see. But Magic Man, just great to have you back again. Just hopefully you are going to be available week by week to step in to go ahead and share your thoughts on the Lakers and the NBA. It is, of course, Magic Man Sean Grice. Looking forward to hearing his thoughts. If you have questions or comments for Magic Man, I'm pretty sure you do. You've had many over the course of time. In fact, I just answered one while Magic Man was answering that question from Roger, who was just saying the word Sean. So, because he knows that was mentioned in the comments last night as far as Magic Man is concerned. I said, be patient, Roger. I might have something good for you coming up real soon. And be pleased when he sees this there. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break, NBA observations. Truly appreciate you joining us. I'll be back hopefully with Matt John. And then, of course, next week, Caleb Ponce, legend, Magic Man. Who knows? Who might not stop on by because, again, we're getting closer to the end of the season, but we're always willing to provide some good NBA observations.